says.
Yeah, Pete, I'm so proud to be joined by all the members of the Kansas delegation. Look, as our kids are going back to school, our goal is public education, that everyone in the state of Kansas understands that one pill can kill, that one fake pill laced with fentanyl can kill a person, and that it's easier in the state of Kansas, or really across the country, it's easier in the state of Kansas to get a fentanyl tablet than it is a piece of pizza delivered. That for $1 a tablet, you can order fentanyl online. The cartel's alive and well across the state of Kansas. They're out there poisoning our children. So we're just trying to encourage every parent, every grandparent, talk to your kids, your grandkids. Law enforcement's helping us get the word out, teachers, coaches, health departments, doctors, nurses. We just want to get that word out that no one is immune to this. Everyone thinks it could not happen to me, but tell that to Cooper Davis's parents. It can happen to you.
So you are going to be working with local sheriffs and law enforcement across the state. You noted school, of course, is back in session here last week and this week. So is the goal really top down across the state along with local law enforcement to educate kids as they get back into the classroom? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, it is absolutely just educating that these children, young adults, are being poisoned, that they're ordering Adderall tablets, Xanax, Percocet online, or they're smoking marijuana. It's laced with fentanyl, and that we're losing a young person every day to fentanyl poisoning. We're using Narcan 10 or 15 times a day. I was just with some firefighter folks there in Kansas City metro area, and they say they are doing 2 or 3 runs a day responding to this overdose. This is an epidemic, number one killer of our young adults across the state. So our goal is to educate, and just everyone, again, you're not immune to it. Just because, where you go to school, your last name, just because you're going to church doesn't mean your child or grandchild is not going to try something like this. It's just so easy to get out there and so cheap.
It is. Senator Roger Marshall's on KCMO. You mentioned Cooper Davis, of course, the terrible story of the 16-year-old who, thought he was taking a Percocet. It happened to be, of course, laced with fentanyl, and he died from it. His mother, Libby, has been on the show. You've actually been on the show with her. So how does that story resonate? Because it was right here in the Kansas City area. It was in Johnson County in 2021. How does that story resonate when you talk to parents around the state with what they're dealing with and the fears that they have with their own children?
Right. Cooper did not have a drug problem. He was just a young, venturesome kid. He and some friends ordered 2 Percocet tablets, and Cooper took 1/2 of those tablets and died. And again, so it's just telling the story that everybody can get this, can die from this, that Snapchat and other social media, it's so easy for them to get them as well. So it's just an opportunity, once again, for parents, teachers to interact with those young students about how dangerous the world is out there. It's easier to get a fentanyl tablet than it is a pizza delivered to your house these days. All you have to do is go on Snapchat. There's other social media. You can do the same thing.
You surprised at all that you got this done statewide on a bipartisan basis all the way down to the local level? Because, nothing about this issue, and fentanyl awareness should not be political, but unfortunately, it seems like one political party has kind of been more focused on it than another one. So are you surprised by that, or are you just happily pleased with it?
We work hard on relationships across the aisle, and Sharice Davids has been really solid on this as well. We have a nice professional relationship with Sharice and the governor's office as well. And we've been working on this, as you know, Pete, you and I have been talking about this before even Cooper Davis was killed from my trips to the border as well. So we've been maturing those relationships, doing education on our own. We had 150 people across the state on a Zoom from our office about a month ago, launching this campaign, trying to get into the health departments and student nurse offices, those types of things as well. But I'm not surprised. Kansans are going to do the right thing. We're still a very deeply moral people, and we care about our greatest treasure, our youth.
And the cartels are here, right? The notion that this is only a Texas thing, that the cartels are in Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm going to give the KBI credit to Tony Mativi, Director Mativi. and his team, Highway Patrol, DHS are all intimately involved. I was there in Kansas City last week talking to DHS, helping them give a presentation on human trafficking. Just last week in Garden City, Kansas, just about an hour and a half drive from my home, people were arrested that had 29 people that were human trafficking. So the cartel has established these highways, what I would call criminal highways, from South America through Panama, through Mexico, and there's 3 arteries that come into Kansas that pierce the state, and at I-70 they split east and west. And the cartel is intimately involved now in the human trafficking as well as the drug trafficking. It's very lucrative, by the way.
Senator Marshall, where are we at just on the Cooper Davis Act in particular? I know you've been working on that for a while. I think it's going to the Senate floor last we spoke. So remind people what the Cooper Davis Act is and where it's at right now in Congress.
You bet. Very simply, the Cooper Davis Act forces social media to cooperate with law enforcement proactively when they see some type of illicit drug deals going on online. It passed out of committee with a huge super majority, again, bipartisan. Gene Shaheen, Democrat senator from New Hampshire, is our co-lead on that. Dick Durbin is helping with it as well, the Democrat whip. So it will go to the Senate floor, we expect. And, we're waiting for someone on the House side to catch it and run with it as well.
Okay. All right. So that's a good sign. Very good sign, Senator Marshall.
Absolutely.
And then what about the Halt Fentanyl Act? I know that's something different that you've also been working on. What is that?
Well, it would raise fentanyl to a Schedule 1 level and just gives law enforcement more tools, an easier ability to go after it. It is just that simple. And the other thing we also did is we worked with the FDA to make Narcan over the counter. And by the way, if your school doesn't have Narcan, they're readily available, then the students and the teachers aren't doing their job as well. You can get Narcan over the counter, fairly inexpensive. Very proud of our work with the FDA on that.
Very good stuff. Senator Marshall, always great to have him on KCMO. You mentioned kids getting back into the classroom. Of course, that's happening across the state. Kids are back on campus at Kansas State as well, your alma mater, getting ready for a big football season, defending their Big 12 championship. How do you feel about that kicking off next Saturday?
Oh, my gosh, Pete. Yeah, going from a very serious conversation, something near and dear to my heart. By the way, the Chiefs looked really good in that preseason game Saturday night. If Andy Reid's not the greatest offensive guru since Bill Walsh, then I don't know who else it will be. We have high hopes for the Kansas State Wildcats, the ever fighting Kansas State Wildcats. But it's a tough conference. I don't expect us to be playing for a national championship, but I expect us to have a winning record, compete for the Big 12, and have a good bowl game, and we'll call it a successful season.
All right. I like the sound of that, as I imagine many Kansas State fans do as well. And, Senator, we'll talk to you soon and get your full Chiefs preseason prediction here in the next 2.5 weeks before the season gets underway. We appreciate the time.